University researcher has been detained by ICE over claims he was actively spreading Hamas propaganda and promoting anti-Semitism on social media. Bardar Khan caught up in the Trump administration's crackdown on who they call activists across college campuses. CBS News legal reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman joins me now in Studio 55 to walk us through those claims. So what is the Department of Homeland Security suggesting?
So as you said, they're claiming that this researcher was promoting Hamas propaganda and anti-Semitism on social media. They're also saying that he has a close connection to a senior advisor to Hamas. And on that basis, they're using the same law that's been used to detain the Palestinian activist from Colombia, Mahmoud Khalil. It's this obscure provision of the Immigration and Nationality Act that says that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has the right to deport non-citizens if he thinks that they are adverse to U.S. foreign policy interests. And on that basis, this researcher has now also been sent to Louisiana, where Mahmoud Khalil is also currently being detained.
So what does the record show? In other words, is what the state and the Department of Homeland Security alleging accurate?
So far, we don't have any evidence. Georgetown University has released a statement. They say that they're not aware of any illegal activity by this researcher. He's been here doing doctoral research on peace building in Iraq and Afghanistan, Vlad, and he is here on a valid student visa.
All right, so this has shades, of course, of the case of Mahmoud Khalil. I guess the question that I have is—
This one's better.
The Department of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State are able to deem anybody who they see as even just simply protesting a war as someone who is somehow a threat to the United States and thus needs to be deported. So then it's sort of a slippery slope. Anybody can be designated in this fashion, even American citizens.
Absolutely, Vlad. And that's why people should be concerned about this and take it very seriously, because even if you don't agree with the rhetoric of, Mahmoud Khalil, who was—
It's weird that they're talking about it on terms like this, but it's like, this is pure fascism. It's here, Like, it's wild. It's wild to cover the government actively doing fascist shit and then just basically say, like, oh, it's kind of a bit of a slippery slope. It's like, yeah, you think? Yeah, bit of a slippery slope. That's kind of an understatement,
A leading figure and know that much about this researcher. It's such a broad law, potentially, the way they could interpret it, that, international students on these campuses are now very scared. I know they're walking around with passports. They're worried about what could happen to them here, because who knows who else will be deemed as adverse to U.S. foreign policy interests under this law. And we're also going to see how the courts deal with this. Mahmoud Khalil's case is still going. Right now, it's all about the habeas petition to get him released. But we'll also ultimately see it reflect how the government is using this provision.
Wow. All right, Katrina Kaufman here in Studio 55, breaking it down for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vlad.
As always, appreciate it.
A hearing set for anti-Israel activist Mahmoud Khalil in Louisiana tomorrow over his deportation. It comes as a judge rules to move his separate detainment case to very blue New Jersey.
Todd Pyro is here with more. Hey, Todd.
Animals. Bro, why don't you sit down? You need papers? Napkins? Oh, yeah, papers, please. Like, you're Mexican. We only got pork and beef, right?
Hey guys, good morning. Former Columbia University grad student Mahmoud Khalil's removal hearing has been moved to tomorrow in Louisiana to determine if he can be legally deported. Now, this is separate from a federal judge's decision yesterday to transfer his detention hearing to New Jersey, not Louisiana, where he's currently being held. The judge citing a law that required the case be held in the same jurisdiction where Khalil was first held, which, of course, is New Jersey. The judge also denying the Trump administration's request to dismiss Khalil's challenge to his arrest. Trump doubling down on his decision, though, to remove Khalil.
Well, Khalil's not exactly an easy one either, because some judge, glommed onto him. But the Democrats lost big because of the stupidity of, they're backing these 90% negative things from their standpoint. People that hate Israel want to destroy it. People that are horrible.
Khalil releasing a letter from an ICE detention center in Louisiana, quote, "The Trump administration is targeting me as part of a broader strategy to suppress dissent. Visa holders, green card carriers, and citizens alike will all be targeted for their.
It's odd because he's such a room reader, so he knows pro-Israeli sentiment ain't too hot right now. As a matter of fact, it's actually, people are less sympathetic to Israel than ever before. They're more sympathetic to Palestinians than ever before. And the momentum is not only in the direction of the Palestinians, but like, people love free speech. Sure, they hate immigrants, but they love free speech. Americans do. So I think Trump doing this for Israel is unironically frustrating members of his own base. It's a deeply unpopular decision. He's trying to message his way out of it by being like, these people they're monsters. They want to murder with words or whatever the like. But like, interestingly enough, he's just not reading the room on this issue, probably because he's stuffing $100 million of Miriam Adelson's money into his ears. So it's rendering him deaf.
Their political beliefs. In the weeks ahead, students, advocates, and elected officials must unite to defend the right to protest, end quote. Khalil is a lawful permanent resident, a.k.a. a green card holder, who helped lead Columbia University's anti-Israel protests last spring. He was arrested by federal immigration authorities earlier this month, expected to remain in Louisiana until that New Jersey judge weighs in. Back over to you.
So, Todd, as a lawyer, since he is a green card holder, that makes him an American citizen, essentially. What is the process for deporting somebody like that?
Again, this is all going to come down to a battle of whose view of the law ultimately wins out. And the Trump administration is saying, look, under the laws of deportation, if you do anything as a green card holder that violates any of the tenets that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, lays out as a precondition.
Yeah, any of the tenets, like you must not offend the apartheid state. You must never say anything mean about Israel. If you do, it violates the tenets of America. Great. Yeah. Note that he didn't say laws. A law that says you can't, it's illegal to be mean to Israel. There's actually laws that restrict the federal government from taking action against you for ridiculous things such as claiming that you're being mean to Israel. So they're the ones who are breaking the law right now.
For being here, then he can remove you. Obviously, on the other side, they're going to make the more, you have all the rights of a citizens, and that's what Khalil's lawyers are going to put forth. It's going to be interesting. And again, I say really this all the time for all these cases. Yeah. The Supreme Court ultimately is going to have to decide this, because I don't think the law is 100% clear on this point. And I think this is where you're going to get the new case law. Right. And that's why I view this case, Steve, really as a trial balloon. I think the people supporting Khalil know exactly what they're doing. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. This is going to come down to those 9 justices in robes in the Supreme Court.
I love, thanks, Todd. I love that what Marco Rubio said. Marco Rubio said.
So it's not precedent yet. Megaphonic says, FYI, someone close to me has a green card and booked travel to visit her home country. Their home country for the first time in over a decade. Their immigration lawyer just got in touch and said their current travel advisory, including for green card holders, is to avoid leaving the country at all unless it's an emergency due to what's been happening. Yeah, if you have a green card, unless it's a real emergency that you have to leave the country, it's ill-advised to leave the country.
He said, hey, I'm pro-Palestinian, I'm pro-Hamas, I'd like to come to Columbia, go to school and create unrest. He wouldn't have gotten in. So you lied. Yeah. You came in here as a student, you had an agenda, an older student. How you got into Columbia, I don't get.
Look at this. I'm looking up the judge from New Jersey because he's the one that's going to hear this case. His name is Michael Farbiarz. I think that's how you pronounce it. It says he went to Columbia.
Well, there you go.
Sounds Muslim.
Wait, no, he taught courses at Columbia Law School and New York University School of Law.
The bottom line is this guy.
Oh.
Wow, I can't believe a fucking judge. I can't believe a federal judge would have also taught in law school at a prestigious institution. Wow, what a shocking turn of events, dude. What's next? A judge with a law degree? What?
Education, sorry, Lawrence. Education at Harvard and at Yale, so Ivy League.
No, this guy doesn't care about our country. He's trying to.
He didn't even teach at Columbia. He taught at. He went to school at fucking Harvard and Yale. He didn't even go to Columbia. Great journalism. Thank you.
Discourse to our country, Khalil. It's a big problem, and the thing that people are missing is there's a Khalil on most college campuses, at every single one of them, that are starting these protests. They have direct connections with Hamas. They want to tear.
Yeah. Me. I have direct connections with Hamas. Yeah, I'm starting campus protests with my direct connection with Hamas.
The foundation, and we're letting it happen. It is a privilege to be in this country if you're on a green card or a visa. And what the Secretary of State is saying, I control the process. And you have violated, you lied to the American people, you lied to our offices, and I'm revoking it. And what they're gonna set this up for everyone that has a visa or a green card that gets denied, now they're gonna want a judge to get involved with that, and we can't allow that to happen.
Right. You know what? I said he's a green card holder, he's a citizen. Actually, he's not a citizen, but he can apply for citizenship through the normal process. What he's trying to do is he's trying to make it a First Amendment issue, as opposed to whether, the authority of the federal government to deport.
Wait, that's what this is. Bro, if there is no crime and the only crime is this, then that's what it is. You might not like it because you present yourself as a defender of free speech falsely, and then the administration that you're sucking up to is currently violating that fairly aggressively. But just because that doesn't make you feel good or makes it harder to argue doesn't change the reality that this is a First Amendment issue through and through. I like that they're talking about it like, oh man, this woke gay judge is going to go ahead and make this First Amendment case a First Amendment case. I mean, even the legal guy that you brought on to defend these actions unironically said that. He said this is a trial balloon. He said this is going to most likely set a precedent. Why did he say that if it's all above board?
Who are in this country at the invitation of the United States.
I believe our United States government should be able to revoke a visa for any reason. For any reason. You're not a citizen of this country. It's a privilege. They shouldn't have to justify protecting this country. Yeah. Shouldn't happen.
Well, let's see what happens.
Gotta go.
Carly, the case of anti-Israel protester Mahmoud Khalil makes its way to a Louisiana courtroom tomorrow for his removal hearing after a judge in his detention hearing moved that case to Blue State, New Jersey instead of Louisiana. Denise Cohen's an attorney and Columbia University alum. She joins me now. Just for the audience at home, these are two separate hearings, detention and removal. Tomorrow's removal hearing, though, I think is the big one because that will determine if he is legally deportable. How do you think the court should rule?
Well, how they should rule and how they will rule?
You can answer both.
Very different. I think they will probably rule that he is not deportable at this point, that they will say that the arrest or the detention was not legal. They'll find a reason for it. But the truth is his behavior falls the definition of what would make him deportable. The same standards that should have probably prevented him from getting a student visa.
What are you saying? It's wild to have a Star of David on your neck and to actively do fascist agitprop. Do you not understand how this will inevitably turn on you? What is going on? Like, this person unironically is like, nah, the Gestapo's got really good reasons. This is the exact type of person that they should be deporting. It's like, you're gonna be in the camps too. You know that, right? Like, there's no salvaging the situation. Like, these people genuinely think that their relationship with the American fascist movement is not on borrowed time.
Would be the same that would enable him to be deported. And these are things like passing out pamphlets that are associated with Hamas, a terrorist organization, leading student activities to take over buildings. All of this behavior is not in line with getting a green card or staying in the United States.
Let's broaden this out, though, from this one case to so many of the individuals that we've seen at your alma mater. I mean, do you think that these kind of hearings should be held?
That's so cool that she's just like, yeah, I don't like it personally, so he should be deported. I don't think it's appropriate, so he should be deported. Deportations are an insanely violent act. Like, people think deportations is like a fun little trip, I think, in their minds or something. I don't know. Or maybe they just don't care about the people that get deported. You know what's really crazy about this? And I know for a fucking fact, if this person we're talking about was a Nazi, if this person that we were talking about was a straight up neo-Nazi with no statements on Israel, but just like straight up was just saying like, you know, insanely anti-Semitic things on college campuses, many of these people, including her, would probably be defending it on free speech grounds. And it's not that crazy of a speculation because look at fucking Elon Musk. If you're powerful enough You can be as racist as you want. You can be as anti-Semitic as you want, as long as you're not saying a lot about Israel. The reality of the matter is, I don't think we should be deporting Nazis for if they're only using free speech either. Like, I don't. Non-citizens cannot be political fact. No, that's not true. That's not true. I have a relatively high bar, I think, for deportation. And the notion of like removing someone from being on the pathway to citizenship, like someone with a legal permanent residence, like specifically on the boundaries of speech is so unimaginable to me. I don't understand.
For more than just Mahmoud Khalil.
Absolutely, and part of the problem with it just being him right now is he's becoming a martyr, for First Amendment protections, and this has nothing to do with the First Amendment. There are so many people that have been involved with this that have allowed other students to be harassed and not go to classes and just turn what used to be a beautiful campus into complete chaos. So there are a lot of people that
The reasoning here is super simple. Do you think that someone should get deported for sig heiling? If your answer is yes, then you ask, do you think we should deport Elon Musk? Now, obviously, I want to deport him, all jokes aside, for many different reasons, not just that one. But I know they won't be on board with that. They won't be on board with that. They will never fucking be like, yeah, we should deport Elon Musk. They'd be like, if you want to put him in a bind, this is what you got to do. Dude, I'm still hungry. I had how many tacos did I have? I had 9 tacos and I'm still hungry. Because, like you said, Tacos El Gordo is I mean, you can chill back there if you want. You're making me nervous. Yeah, I hate it. What is this? Organic berry thrive mix. No. Chips, potato chips, kettle style potato chips. I'm still hungry. I'm so used to eating like 2 pounds of chicken every day at this time that Tacos El Gordo didn't fill it up for me. These are fucking awful. And probably, $30.
be held accountable for this.
Here's the president weighing in on this case last night. Let's listen.
Well, Khalil's not exactly an easy one either, because some judge, glommed onto him. But the Democrats lost big because of the stupidity of 90% negative things from their standpoint. People that hate Israel want to destroy it. People that are murderers.
Dog, Democrats are closer to 90% supporting Palestinians than supporting Israel at this point. The Democratic politicians are 99% in support of Israel. Democratic Party voters are not. Okay? The idea that this is like a 90% disapproval issue is so crazy. First of all, the First Amendment is a 100% approval issue. There is no, there are very few people that are like, yeah, honestly, let's not, I don't know about this First Amendment stuff. I'm kind of cold on it. I'm cold on this free speech shit. I've never met an American like that. Secondly, in terms of demonstrating for Palestinians, being deported on that basis is crazy. Yes, the only popular aspect of this is that he's an immigrant and Trump knows he can get away with doing a lot of horrible things to immigrants. That's the only side of this that he thinks is manageable. That's his entry point into the conversation. First we take away free speech by using free speech as a prosecutable offense against immigrants, against green card holders. Then we'll move on and use it against citizens that we can denaturalize too. Well, Bernie and I did not ball today.
People that are horrible.
We went through the legal reaction. I asked you those questions, but now your reaction just as an alum, as a human.
My reaction to what Colombia
Donald Trump said and just these overall protests.
As an American, as a Jewish woman, as a New Yorker, as an alum, I'm extremely grateful that he's taking this position. It was horrible to have to sit back and watch this rise to the levels that it had risen to, and it didn't need to get here. Had Colombia did something like what NYU had done in the early days, where they actually got brought in the NYPD, and they worked in collaboration with them, so it was a very safe place to be. My own niece, Hannah, was actually at NYU at the time, and she had no problems. If Columbia had done that, we wouldn't be facing the situation today, and these students would not be facing deportation.
And I think it underscores the fact that it can be done if you have the will within your institution. If not, this happens. The Wall Street Journal reporting Columbia is close to giving in to President Trump's demands in order to make sure they don't lose that $400 million in federal funding.
Am I losing my mind? Am I losing my mind a little bit? Or are they just like actively talking about how students' personal feelings about like defending Israel is more important than the First Amendment, is more important than student activism, is more important than people's like citizenship? Like they're just, I feel like this conversation is so insane. Like always, it's so selfish. It's like, sorry, I feel bad when you say Israel is doing a genocide, so you can't fucking do that. Like that's an insane thing to establish as a reason to deport someone. Like I get to set the rules. I set the rules. My feelings are more important than the First Amendment.
Comes back to this question. Why did it have to come down to the threat of losing all this federal money for a school like Columbia to just do the right thing?
It's really complicated to answer that question. I'm not there, but I will tell you that the professors had a very pro-Arab, anti-Israel bent when I was there, and I got my degree from the...
I want to ask, when they say blocking Jewish students from going to class, does that mean blocking all students from going to class, some of whom are Jewish? No. No. It means none of those. They made it up. No. Every single one of these protests were conducted in like public areas of the college campus where people normally protest. They were not stopping students from actually fucking going to class. They were in a public square. I was there. I know what they were doing. Dudes wearing IDF t-shirts would specifically try to get into the encampments in an effort to fight, in an effort to piss people off, in an effort to film people and dox them. So the student organizers were very good at field marshaling these protests and would not allow agitators into the encampments. All of those videos of like people being blocked from going to class are not people trying to go to class. They're people trying to go into the encampment. They were on a lawn. They were not blocking class. It's completely bullshit. And that happened in every university, basically. It's so shocking that people still believe this. Like, I covered it extensively at the time. I went there directly. I interviewed the student protesters. Like, we have people in this community that also did that. They threw explosives and disease mice in the encampment at UCLA, but the counter-protester aggression is never discussed. Exactly. Cinemarxism was there for a lot longer than I was. He kept going back to the student encampments and covering the protests. Like, counter-protesters did everything in the fucking book to harass the protesters. No criticism whatsoever from the on the counter-protesters at all. Cops came and protected the counter-protesters. It's ridiculous. They did nothing wrong. They did only right things. They're covering you on WUNC NPR. What? Are you joking? WUNC NPR? That's a real news station?
School, the SIPA from the Middle East, with the way that they were presenting the history of the Middle East. It was very different to anything that I had learned outside. So there is this inclination to be very supportive of, say, Palestinian rights. But Palestinian rights are not the same as being pro-Hamas, and that's where this has gone.
Yeah, except you consider everything to be pro-Hamas. That's the problem. Palestinian rights are not like being pro-Hamas. First of all, even if it is, what is it to you? Who the fuck do you think you are? What do you mean? Oh, I've decided you're pro-Hamas. Okay, so what? You can deport someone for that reason? Like, what are we talking about? This isn't post 9/11. Like, I mean, it is post 9/11 America, but it's not literally immediately after 9/11. Like, what are these fucking arguments that these people are making? They're so bad. Incredibly frustrating. You are on WUNC, actually, Lamau.